Online with Amr The Internet Guy. Stream it today on your favorite podcast platforms. This podcast focuses on entrepreneurs and business owners, helping them become more successful in conducting their business on the web without being stuck with technology, getting a headache, pulling their hairs out, or buying expensive software.
Hello everyone and welcome to this special episode from Online. In the next two episodes, we're discussing business and marketing, specifically marketing strategies for small and medium businesses, as well as online marketing and search engine optimization, or SEO. So make sure you listen to these two together. You'll have so much benefit and you will be blown away with some of the marketing strategies, how simple they are, but how effective. For everyone who's like 30 years of age or below, you probably grew up in the digital age and with digital marketing and with technology spearheading the marketing process for every business. But marketing is still marketing. So whether it's digitized, whether we're using softwares and email lists or not, it's still marketing. It's not about the technology. It's about the marketing strategies that you deploy in order to raise your product's awareness, your brand awareness, and educate your community so that you're on top of their minds when they think of a service that is similar to something that you and your business deliver. So I expect to see you on this episode and the next one. Without further ado, let's meet our special guest today. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Online. Today I have a special guest, Mr. Eric Dingler. Hey Eric.
Hello, sir. How are you doing?
All good. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm excited to be a guest here on your is this a podcast, a video series?
I don't know, there's a it's a hybrid, video
hybrid.
and audio. Yeah. Vodcast.
Right,
I don't know. I've seen this yesterday on somebody's site. The vodcast.
Vodcast. Nice.
So Eric, where are you based? What you do? And how do we know each other?
Sure, man. We got connected through In Transit Studios. Yeah. So I am in the Virginia Beach, Virginia area in the United States. I've owned a web design agency, Coastal City Creative, for a couple years. And then last spring, actually, I had the opportunity to purchase another web design agency that was larger than mine and what more established, like 10 years established. And so we purchased it. And that's In Transit Studios. So we now run the two brands, In Transit and Coastal, with two different totally market ideas. And we've expanded to include, the kind of the way we look at it is we're all about the website. We're the website, but we're also on the other side getting traffic to the website. And then on the opposite end, nurturing those visitors into sales. So we connect the whole thing, and the website is just kind of the center of the wheel with all of the spokes.
Well, I like that you mentioned a wheel instead of the word funnel, because people get scared of that word.
Yes. In fact, we try to, with both ourselves and our clients, we generally use an upside down funnel. So instead of having the funnel where we try to get as many people into the top as we can, with most of our clients, we're able to work that funnel upside down where we target gatekeepers, and those gatekeepers bring in several people, and the leads expand because we've targeted 20 or 100 very high, targeted gatekeepers is the term we use.
That's quite interesting. I remember in one of our past conversations off camera, we were discussing marketing, and you have some great ideas that worked. And before I get into asking you to give examples of these ideas, I wanted to reiterate to everyone who's listening or watching us that my own analysis of the current situation is that people, when they think of online marketing or internet marketing, 90% of the time they're thinking tech and not marketing. So they're thinking about a tool, or they're thinking about a process, or something to do with a mailing list, or SEO, or whatever. So they're thinking more um, technology and enablement. But what gets lost in that kind of message is the actual marketing. So
Right.
today we want to discuss marketing in general. It doesn't have to be online. And, I believe that if you understand marketing, you can then take it online. But if you go online only without understanding of marketing, you're not going to be as successful. And I don't know, I could be wrong.
No, I completely agree. So one of our guiding axioms, one of our guiding principles here, is the principle behind the practice. And what that means is before you copy what somebody else is doing, spend some time dissecting it and figuring out why it works. Um, just because you see somebody doing something and it's working for them, there's a very good chance it may not work for you, that specific practice. If it doesn't align with the DNA of your organization, a completely different, avatar you're targeting, whatever it might be. We had a client that was adamant about really wanting to get they wanted to move forward with people texting them and following up with text messages. And finally, we just had to be brutally honest and go, you're a senior living facility. Your avatar is, you've told us your average website visitor is over the age of 60. They want a brochure in the mail.
Yeah.
They take longer to make a decision. They don't want to, like my dad, he doesn't want a text message.
Yeah.
Now, are there exceptions? Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, some would love, their phones, but not.
Yeah, but we're not, you don't want to market to them. You want to go like, who are you really going after there? So we convinced them to test the brochure route, and they're loving it. So a lot of people think that kind of stuff is old fashioned. It's dead. You just got to know your avatar. So what's the principle behind the practice? Because like you said, I think a lot of people see something working and they focus immediately on how do I do that? And a lot of people they believe that, they fall for these hypes that if you just put this funnel together, it just works for you and you can go on vacation and your business just makes money.
They think it sucks people in. Like you put the funnel and it will work like, I don't know, a Hoover or something like on its own without your intervention.
You know who it works for? It works for the first person that created it because
he's selling it to you.
Yeah. And then he's selling it to you. That's who he or her got it to work because it was unique and different. And here's what works in marketing. Different. That's what works in marketing. It's that simple. If your marketing is different, it has a much better chance of working. If it's like everybody else's marketing, you're going to get everybody else's results.
You just reminded me, like in, I think, when was it? 2005 and 2006. I used to teach marketing, and at the time it wasn't online marketing, but the online part was catching up. But it wasn't at the time, like when you say, they used to have like a funny name, still exists, cyber marketing. I don't know why, because it wasn't called internet marketing at the time. And I read books about it, and where I was working, they were thinking to make a new course. And now that I moved to a complete online business in general, and I started to do everything online, you kind of forget the traditional marketing completely or ignore it until someone points out to you that it's still there and it still works.
It's still very effective. It's still very effective. So yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so a balance is where the pendulum swings through on its way from one extreme to the other. And we have three really dry, axioms that I repeat regularly. One of them is, what's the principle behind the practice? And the other one is, consider the third option. I believe there is nothing in life that comes down to either this or this. Now, the exception is I'm a person of faith. And so I think that in my
Yeah.
faith. And for those that do, I think that
So
there's only
apart from
one way.
God, there's nothing else that's sure.
Right.
Exactly.
Outside of that,
Everything
there's only
else
one.
is debatable. Yeah.
Absolutely. But absolutely everything else. And I've got so many clients that we start working with that they're like, well, I don't know if I want to do, SEO or pay-per-click, or I don't know if I want to do email marketing or send a newsletter in the mail, and they get this idea that I have to do one of these. And I believe what we have seen for us and what we're seeing for our clients is different marketing ideas and marrying these two together, bringing online and offline marketing together. It's a lot easier than people think. It's a lot of fun, actually, I think. And it's amazing results. And then what happens, because here's what happens. With the approach that we've been working with clients is we get it dialed into a system where it becomes predictable. If you send out 20 letters in a month, you're going to close 20%. Well, now you can start to predict and scale out. If I send 20 and I get 20%, I know I'm going to send 60, I'm going to get 20%. That's this many. And so it just makes things so much smoother and gives you a lot more control, bringing together online and offline.
So we're talking about sending things in the actual mail, like USPS.
Absolutely. That's just one idea. There's other ways to do that. I mean, we do different things as well. Like, yes.
I heard some fun examples, and let's just tell people about them without saying the name of the company, but in general.
Sure. Well, and
what's the industry? What worked?
Yeah, well, these kinds of things will work for a lot. So just as an idea, I'll just share one that we're starting to do ourselves. So we do experiments with marketing, and we do them on small scale until we figure out, lock in what works, and then we can begin to scale it. So actually, just yesterday, I have a VA, Cam. She's amazing. We had our weekly meeting, and what we're doing is I identified 2 communities that I want to start trying to work in. And she's going to go through their business association or chamber of commerce websites. She's going to look at their members, and she's going to look for members that look just like our clients already. And what businesses look like the businesses we already serve. She's going to make a list of 20 targeted businesses that we believe we can serve. We are going to mail the 20 of them an envelope, and in the envelope will be a very simple letter and a little magnifying glass, about just a little plastic magnifying glass. We're getting like 250 of these magnifying glasses for $14 on Amazon. So, very, very cheap. These 20 go in the mail with a very simple letter that I haven't written yet, but it's going to say something along the lines of, it shouldn't be hard for your ideal clients to find you, or it should be easier. We can help make it easier for you to find your new sales. At the same time, we're experimenting. We're going to do another 20 with letter openers, and the letter openers, we're getting them custom printed with our logo on it, because people will keep those on their desk for a long time. We're going to send letter openers that say, we can help you open up new markets, or whatever phrase we come up with. While that's important, what really is important is when we use what's called vanity URLs. This is just a term we use. There's probably a better term for it. But Cam is going to create this Excel spreadsheet. I'm going to go through the spreadsheet one day each month. I'm going to set aside a day, and I'm going to record each of these people a video. Hey, Joe, so glad that you got our letter. You've jumped over here to In Transit to see what we can offer for you. Here's why I believe we can help, blah, blah, blah. I come up with a quick script.
Oh, okay. So you have your pitch on video.
Have it pitch. It's no more than 60 seconds.
Yeah.
It's evergreen, because then every time we target a business owner named Joe, or, you have to or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. Because they'll go in the letter, it'll say, hey, I think we can help you. Go to intransitstudios.com/Steve.
Yeah.
Okay. Or it might be their
Joe.
business name.
Yeah.
If we don't know, have a contact, we can use the business name. It doesn't really matter. What matters is when you get something in the mail and there's a website with your name on it, there's a very high likelihood you're going to click through to that. Okay. So you've clicked through. Now I've just used your name, which is Very powerful.
Yeah,
in
creates
marketing.
rapport. Yeah.
Yep. And so right away, I've used your name. I've taken a few moments to say hi to you. And then the page is going to be a blank page with the video, and below it is going to be a phone number. And I'm just going to say, send me a text to that number right there, and I'll follow up with you, and we'll get started on talking about details on how we can help you open new things or find, and I might have a magnifying, whatever that it is. A gimmick is not a 4-letter word. Don't be afraid to be gimmicky. And then they send a text message that works for the avatar we're going after, because we're going after the busy solopreneur, entrepreneur, small business owner. They don't want to open up something and send an email form. Text message, great. We've done a couple of these, and they are so much fun. They get results. We did one where we sent little packets of headache medicine. And we said, hey, we can take the headache away. You can send individual packets of hot sauce. Hey, the market's hot right now. Let us help you. The key is
it has to be USDA approved.
Yeah, exactly.
Go ahead.
Exactly. Let me just let me grab something to show you here. So we use these brown envelopes right here.
Oh,
and because why? Stands out. Here were the packets of
Advil
medicine. Yep, Advil that was in the envelope. And then a very simple letter. And the reason we do all that is because it's different than everybody else. Would it be cheaper to maybe send a white envelope versus this? A little bit, but it's not that much more.
Yeah, you remember this envelope. Even if it doesn't look
it
pretty,
stands out.
It just looks different.
Yeah, it stands out in your mail, and it gets your attention. And now it's different, so I've got your attention. You opened it. I've got your name in there on a URL.
And then you think, why do I have a headache medicine in there? Yeah,
right. And you read it, and everything. The whole idea is it's different, and it keeps your attention. Different is king in marketing, and so it pulls you into this. It pulls you. I'm taking you on a journey. I'm pulling you along step by step. And so we can engage in a conversation. And here's the thing. Yes, that I could probably do that, because people are like, oh, but the cost, online marketing.
Yeah, what's the cost?
Cheaper. Well, okay. So all of that right there is about $2, a little under $2 per packet.
Per letter.
But I get a 20% close rate. The lifetime value of a client for us can be anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000. Okay, $2.
So the cost of acquisition. 20, yeah, exactly. What's the cost of acquisition here?
Yeah, $2 times 20 envelopes. And mailing, post, everything.
Yeah,
okay, I've got $40.
Let's say 50. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's say I got $50. 20% close rate. I've got $200,000 in lifetime value. I do that this month. I do that next month. I do that the following month. We can't go any faster than that. We got to because we're building custom
and you need to
websites.
nurture them as well. Like you don't want you don't want 100 people calling you on the same day. You'll have no time to respond.
Absolutely. And now you're not providing great customer service. And this is where it's a mind. You have to have a shift in your mindset. It's like when people live paycheck to paycheck, they get stuck in a mindset of money that I've got to make enough money for next paycheck. But like in the classic, book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, when you change your mindset to think wealth building versus paycheck to paycheck, you handle money different. When you think long-term of my business, I'm building a client base. And what if I grow 5% a month? I grow 3%, I grow 10%. Like that, do it right. Because I tell you, one of the number one reasons businesses fail is they grow too fast.
Yeah. One of these reasons. Either they don't grow at all or they grow too fast.
Right. But I can project out, well, in 6 months, my team and I can't handle this. So in 6 months, we're going to have to add somebody. Well, I can start,
in 4 months, you can
early.
Start looking for some, or now.
Yeah, exactly. So we have done this. Now we have clients that we've got a client, their lifetime value of a lead, of a new prospect is anywhere from $750,000 to $1 million.
Wow.
And so for them, we mailed, they do fleet repair.
Okay,
And
like
so
trucks,
delivery
like they have a
van.
mobile truck to go to trucks and repair them on the spot or
Both.
something like that.
Yes,
Okay.
they do emergency roadside assistant, but they also have a garage where if you've got a fleet of vehicles, you set up a regular schedule, your trucks come in, they keep them operating, they do the state inspections, all of that. So there's a lot of potential lifetime income and revenue from one of these clients. So for them, we sent toolboxes, a small red metal toolbox. We had about $35 in these. We filled them with candy, and we put a note in there that said, "Don't worry, I have all the tools I need to keep your trucks on the road." And then we said, I want to take you out for lunch, and so we can talk about how we can help you over the long haul, blah, 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 blah. Send me a text message and we'll schedule lunch. He got a 30% response rate his first month doing that. He called me and was like, "Let's do it again."
Wow.
Now, and with him, we only did 10 the first month.
Yeah, because I figured that his clients in general aren't going to be 100 companies. He probably
He's got a much smaller area to work with. Yeah. And his nurture time, most companies don't just go, "Oh, yeah, okay, well, here's $1 million contract."
Yeah. And they don't go and say, like, we want to change where we do our repairs or whatever.
Right. That takes time. Now the other side of this, like I said, is talking about the gatekeeper. So because we've got some people, they're like, we've got a client, they're e-commerce, they sell pet supplies. And so they're like, well, we want to do and they had people that were doing SEO for them, and they were paying $1,500 a month for SEO and not getting a whole lot out of that. I'm like, well, you're going up against PetSmart, Walmart, and Amazon.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on. You're a mom and pop supply store. Your products are amazing. They're all American made, but you're going up against the big guy. A $1,500 a month won't cut it.
Yeah.
And so I said, instead,
you can't beat Amazon for $1,500 a month. Yeah.
No, not in. And even if you do pay per click, well, you turn that $1,500 off a pay per click, and guess what happens? Your sales die out.
Yeah.
So let's do something different. Okay. So instead, with them, what we did is we targeted, we started with a list of 20 pet trainers, dog trainers.
Okay.
And we contacted them and we said, "Hey, listen, we would like to provide you with free gifts for your next graduating class. How many can we give you? 10, 15, what can we provide for you?" And then we had the client go to their suppliers and said, "Hey, we're putting these packages together. Can you provide some samples?" Well, all of their suppliers said, "Absolutely, we'll provide samples." So they got samples of dog treats, toys, all this kind of stuff. All right. So you get this. Now we create a coupon for your website, some type of, an offer. We put these packages together. You send them to these 20 dog groomers. Now you've just sent out, 200, 300, 400 gift bags. All right. Going into the hands of people from somebody they trust.
Yeah.
Somebody
their dog trainer.
Somebody that just helped their life become better because now Fido listens and they can control their dog. Hey, here you go.
Here's your treat. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, if you trust this treat, I'm going to trust this. Where do I buy that? Oh, I'm going to go to this website that has
and get a discount.
your trainer's name in it. Why would you not do? And now it works. Next month, that trainer's like, "Hey, can we get more?" Yeah, absolutely. And then we start adding. Even if down the road you have to start paying for some of the samples. Okay.
Yeah, but that's if you think like, I don't think they spent $1,500 on the samples. So
no, they got all the samples for free.
Yeah, measuring this against $1,500 SEO ad campaign. And I don't know, I'm not saying it doesn't work, but like if you look at the results, because I have an example, somebody, she wasn't my client, or like she wasn't a long-term client, we fixed her computer. I have a friend who's the PC doctor. He prides himself as the PC doctor who makes house calls. Of
Oh
course,
my.
that was before COVID.
Sure.
And one day he calls me and he said, "Look, can you change a hard disk for somebody? I'm just too bogged down here and I have to go to Toronto." And, you know, so I said, "Yeah, sure. Like, I'll fix her computer. I don't mind." So we met in Starbucks. I had like my screwdrivers and everything, and I had the new hard drive and I fixed it and everything. So as we're talking, she tells me about what she does. So she's an inventor and she has a product that sells on Amazon for, I think, if I remember correctly, $9 or $8 or whatever. And as we're discussing, this is a brand new product. So how do you market it? How do people know about it? And she says, I've made some videos talking about it. I've been interviewed by other entrepreneurs, and some people know about what I do and stuff like that. But most of my marketing is in the hands of an agency, and I'm paying them, I think it was close to $1,600 a month. And I said, great, how much sales do you have from the $1,600 a month? She says, oh, about 7, 8 units. I said, what? Again, please. Okay, how much? And she said, 7, 8 units, sometimes 10. I said, okay, so your product sells for 9. So let's say you send 10 units, you're making $90 and you're spending 1,600 to make the 90. Something is broken.
Yeah.
And she said, yeah, I realized I'm spending too much, but I'm new and not many people know me. And it sounded like she's repeating what the agency people told
Sure.
her to justify the amount that they're charging. And again, I'm not against anyone, and many people are doing a great job, but you should see the result you get for your client, because like how ethically, how would you justify? Because I know that agencies, they say, oh, we got stuff to pay, we got our cost and blah 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 blah, and it's okay. It works for some people. For your $1,600 they make 10,000. That's fine, it's justifiable. But
Right.
if you look around and you're charging this month in and month out, and after 3, 4 months your client is telling you there's no sales, you got to stop and adjust. You got to do something. You don't just
Yeah.
keep taking their money. And
Yeah.
I don't know if she still
I like it.
pays, but it pains me. And I couldn't forget that example of how SEO sometimes doesn't work and ends up actually emptying your pockets instead.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. And that's why I like the approach. We do these experiments and we tell people, hey, let's just start with 20. Let's start with, like, it depends. And it depends. Everybody's different. Sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 20, sometimes it's 50. It just depends on the market and all that. But we start with an experiment. We put a deadline on it. We track the conversion. We track the results. It's a lot easier to track this too when you're only doing 20,
Yeah.
and then we adjust and we do it again with with one adjustment. We pick one thing and we adjust it.
Yeah,
And that's
because yeah,
key.
it's like a
It's like A/B split
A/B
testing.
exactly. I was gonna say the same thing.
I sent an email out yesterday, and I use a tool for our email marketing, ConvertKit. I love it.
Okay.
I put an email together with 2 different subject lines. Subject line 1 was, here's how you can get a $10 Amazon gift card from me. And the second one was business advice from the trenches. And I thought the Amazon one's going to get more open rates.
Yeah.
What ConvertKit
Because
does
it sounds like everyone wants
right?
the $10 gift card. Yeah.
Exactly. What's cool about ConvertKit is, and other ones do this as well. I used to use MailChimp. I've left the chimpanzee. I'm straight on ConvertKit now, but it does it really, really great. It automatically then for the first 4 hours after I hit send, it sends to 30% of my list. It sends half of that 30% subject line A and the other half subject line B. At the end of 4 hours,
2 separate campaigns. Okay.
Right. At the end of 4 hours, whichever one works, they send
just
everybody else on the list.
Yeah. And take the successful one for the rest of them.
Yeah. Though the Amazon one had a 15% open rate, the advice from business owner had a 30% open rate.
Wow. Double.
I would have missed out on a significant number of emails being opened had I gone with my gut. Marketers don't always know. Copywriters don't always know. That's why testing. I love, again, one of our other axioms is shoot a bullet before a cannonball. Test, test, test. How can you give it a little bit of a test on a small scale, adjust so it doesn't hurt, because I'll tell you, some of these experiments, there's no doubt about it. We'll tell clients, hey, there's a very good chance our first 2, maybe 3 will bomb. I can't guarantee, I don't know what's going to work, but if you'll trust us and keep going with us, we will land, because I'm not telling you this is what's going to be for yours. And it may be, we have got an idea for a client, and I don't have a client to take it on yet. I love coming up with ideas. I want to find, and I think this would be fun for a restaurant. Okay. So let's say a local restaurant, we put together a 1-hour sitcom script. Okay. We write a funny script, takes an hour. We record it in 5-minute episodes, and we release them on YouTube over 20 weeks. Okay. So you've just created your own TV series with your restaurant as the backdrop. If the script is funny, and you start promoting this to your local market, because here's the thing, you don't have to compete on a national market. If you're a local restaurant, you need to compete against all the other local restaurants. None of your other local restaurants are putting out
a TV show.
Are putting out a YouTube TV show. All right. So you do this, and you do it a couple times, and you have some people in the restaurant sign waivers to be extras. And then you email them when their episode drops. Guess what that person's doing?
They share it with everyone.
Heck yeah, they're sharing it.
Yeah.
I tell you something. You don't even have to mention a special. You don't have to offer a coupon. Your brand awareness is going to go through the roof in your, 20-minute, 30-minute radius. I think that would be so much fun.
I saw something funny on not like that, not a sitcom, right? But I saw this on an Egyptian TV. So the man had a new coffee shop. His daughter studies marketing in university. He's got 2 daughters and a son. The eldest is 19. The other one is I think 14, and then a very young son, 8 or 9 anyway. And he tells his eldest, now that we have our own coffee shop, can you do the stuff that you do? And she says, Dad, what do you mean the stuff that I do? And he says, all these online things with the stuff that I don't understand, Facebook and TikTok and whatever. And then, so what she thought about, okay, if we do a pay-per-click or an SEO or whatever, that's going to cost him a lot of money. And I don't want to let my dad down, but I don't know what to do because he doesn't understand any of this and he doesn't have a budget. So what she did, she picked up her phone. She brought her sister and her brother in front of the coffee shop, and she was just talking. She's telling people the story. She said, hey, my dad opened this brand new coffee shop. He wants me to market it. I don't know what to do. There's no budget. The coffee shop looks cool. Look, here's what it looks like. And she went inside and she showed people around, and she said, but now I'm stuck. I don't know. So let's have a little bit of fun. So, hey, sister, pose as a model in front and whatever. And they started just like kids, The guy says, I swear to God, I was unhappy because that was very childish. And I thought she's not serious. And then he said, but she's my daughter, so I didn't want to get angry with her. And I let it go. Within 2 or 3 weeks, he said people started to flood. They all want to go to the place because the video became I don't know, something emotional. Everyone wants to help the girl whose dad doesn't have a budget to market. So in the beginning, he thought that's bad publicity. You're telling people basically I have no money. But it worked.
Well, there's a word behind why that worked, and it's the word authentic. Be authentic in your marketing. I mean, that's just people, and I have to fight this I'm a business owner, and I have to fight this. I look out because I sit down in the evening and watch TV with my family, and I see these big brand commercials and stuff like that. And I get this idea that that's what a business looks like. That's what a
Yeah,
business looks like.
yeah.
And I don't know why that's the case, because that's not true. My
No,
favorite businesses to deal with are the fun, unique ones.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
where I know their story. So like, I just think there's so many
This is why I do
things
this
people can do.
podcast. That's exactly
Yeah.
why I do this podcast.
Yeah.
I
There's
want to
so many fun and
share
unique things.
those authentic stories and the uniqueness of every guest who comes here with me with the world, because like not many people get to know, like, they look and they say in Transit Studio, yeah, it's a web design company, but they don't know the ethos behind it, what you like, what gets you out of bed in the morning, what you're passionate about, and how, more importantly, how you get stuff done.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
for all of us, not only entrepreneurs, for every single person, even if you're working as an employee in a company, everything you do has a little bit of you in it, and that's what makes you unique, and in most cases that what makes you successful. People connect with your authenticity, with you being like a regular person rather than a brand as per se. Like, yeah, I know we say sometimes that you have to have your personal brand and whatever, but what many people don't tell you is that it doesn't have to be hard, cold, distant brand. It actually should be you, still be you. Like,
Yeah.
I love laughing, I laugh out loud, I kind of take a relaxed approach to life, maybe because I'm in the West, I don't know, but if you see like all my photos and everywhere, and even my caricature, it's all with a big smile on my face, because that's me. It does represent me. I'm like, without this laugh, I feel something is missing. There's not enough energy.
Yeah. No, I agree. And here's the thing. If you put out a persona for your business that's not you, the first time a client engages with you, they realize like, wait a minute, this
It's
is a
not what I
big switch.
expected.
This is
Yes.
not what I expected. So just be authentic and have fun. And I think there are so many missed opportunities out there for people. I do have a restaurant client that we're working with them, and they're starting their own cooking show. They're going to be about 7-minute long episodes. We're going to put them on YouTube and Instagram. They've got this amazing culinary staff in this wonderful kitchen. And people are like, they think that, well, I can't compete with the Food Network. You're not trying to compete with the Food
Yeah,
Network.
that's the wrong approach.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're trying to build a relationship with, 1,000 people within driving distance, like you got to think different. And with YouTube right now, people are looking for content. And if yours is unique and fun and engaging and right there, like video content right now is, it's just, and there's so many easy
Yeah.
ways to do it. There's so many easy ways to do it. But you could start a series, at your office, whatever it is, a restaurant. There's so many ways to do it. And then you got offline marketing. And here's just one more example, real quick. I don't know where we're at on time or anything like that. I
Oh, it's okay.
apologize.
Don't worry about it. Yeah.
All right. But here's one more example. We had a client, we have a client that's on our hosting and maintenance plan for their website. We take care of their website, and they're a treatment center for people with addiction. It's a residential treatment center, and they're nonprofit. And so they called up and they said, hey, we've got a budget of $300. What can you help us do for SEO or pay per click? And I said, well,
that's a very low budget if
very
you're gonna
low.
do
Yep.
online only.
Yep.
Yeah.
But let me take a look. Let me see. I have no idea how competitive the market is. And I want to make decisions based on data, because we just proved a little bit ago, just because I think a subject line is going to work, a $10 Amazon
Not
gift card,
necessarily. Yeah.
I was double wrong on that. So I said, let me look at it. So I actually had Michelle, Michelle, she's our SEO expert. So Michelle looked at it and she came back and she's like, Eric, there's nothing they can do for $300. And here's why. Their competitors their competitors get $10,000 a month per bed. This place gets nothing. It's free. It's a nonprofit. You pay nothing to use this facility. Their competitors are paying pay per click for their for this nonprofit's name. So if you search this nonprofit's name, their competitors are all running ads against it. And so for them to overcome this was going to be a lot. And so I went back to him and I said, hey, listen, I think it's a mistake for you to do anything. So instead, here's what I think you should do. Take that $300 and once a month, now this was pre-COVID, once a month, have a lunch. And we can help you identify, I've got 4 ideas off the top of my head. If you want, we'll work with you. We'll identify 12 targets. But month 1, have a free lunch for pastors, because every pastor will take you up on a free lunch. You know who else will take you up on a free lunch? Social workers. So the next month, social, and you know who else? Have a free meal for the directors of nursing homes and urgent care facilities. And the next month, have for the police department, have these free lunches, bring people in and offer to do a training or something.
Yeah.
And tell them,
show them the place.
Here's what we can do, and spend the $300 to provide the free meal and build relationships, because you know what? These are the people on the front line that engage with people every day.
With addiction every day. Yes.
Addiction.
Yes.
That can't afford a $10,000 facility. Get your judges, get your district, your local prosecuting attorneys, get your defense attorneys.
Now it gets a bit scary.
Yeah, but get your defense attorneys who can go to the judge
anyone
on
who
behalf of a client.
It's basically anyone who sees someone with addiction and they want to, instead of incarcerating the person, they want to help. They want to rehabilitate the person.
High school guidance counselors and principals,
counselors,
coaches, football coaches, I can come up
drug
with
dealers. No, just kidding. If you want to offset what you sell, we're here for you. No, just kidding.
Let's not go there. But that is, and you know what? They're like, okay, great. It's not what they expected. And here was their thing. They're like, yeah, that sounds good, but man, that's going to be a lot of work. We were just kind of hoping we could put some pages out there on the internet and send people to it.
You can, but what's the result that you're getting?
Yeah. Yes. It's, you know what though? Here's the truth about money. There is no money hiding here behind my desk in my office. I've looked. There is none here. I have to get my butt out from behind my desk and hit the streets and make relationships and networks, because you and I both know Josh Hall. Josh says all the time, I don't know where he got it, but he says it all the time. People buy from people they know, like, and trust.
Yes.
You're not going to know, like, and trust me from reading a blog post. Is there a place for blogging? Yes.
Yes.
Is there a place for I have a client that's a auctioneer, and we're helping them put together a podcast. They're going to put together a podcast where they're going to talk about the land that's for sale in the state of Ohio. And they're going to do this every other week. Their potential client listening base is not that big, but this is very targeted. It's very direct. And we've helped them come up with some ideas to help get the word. They're going to interview some landowners and things like that. And what's that landowner going to do? They're going to share their episode and stuff like that. But here's the beautiful thing about it. They're fine with the fact that their podcast may only get 100 downloads every other week. Where most people, they're like, oh, if my podcast, isn't number 1 on the list, or I can't compete with Dave Ramsey. I can't compete with NPR. I can't.
You know what? I don't even know the numbers of my podcast. I don't look.
Yeah. Are you adding value to people? Great. I would rather add value to 5 people this week.
Exactly.
Versus nobody, because I was afraid to try.
And the funny thing is, people I know tell me they listen to my podcast. So I don't know if some strangers, maybe not after this or prospects,
I may not be helping you much.
Maybe not after this specific one. But no, it's funny because I have an existing client. The other day we had a meeting, a socially distanced meeting, but I went to their office to meet them in person, right? I'm old school. They're a new client. They came through a referral from a friend. And while there, the lady told me, oh, I was just listening to your podcast with that guest who does X and Y. And I said, oh my God, like I didn't think like, where did she find the podcast? And I remember that in my signature, below my signature, I usually put the latest episode. So she clicked, but she didn't actually listen to that specific episode. She went to the one that was more of interest to her. And to
There
me,
you go.
wow, this works.
Yeah.
Like I didn't get new business from the podcast, but this is the thing as well. When you do marketing, you should be clear to what you want from whatever you're doing. This is the thing that people sometimes forget about. For me, the podcast is about adding value, is about meeting nice people, listening to their stories, highlighting their uniqueness, and having fun in the process. It's not
Yeah.
about how many customers or how many clicks will come from my podcast. Some other podcasts maybe have that target, but not mine.
Yeah.
So for me,
And
it
that's okay
works.
too. Both are
Yeah.
great. And I think that's the key. You just have to know your why. Like, why are you doing this? What's the value behind it? What's the point? Are you adding value to people? And it's the same thing with your marketing. You just gotta know why you're doing it. And not only that, you need to know what you're not going to do. We get
Yeah.
asked all the time,
How to say no.
if we will help people with their social media marketing, or
No.
we've started recently. We just had our third one in the last like 3 months. Ask us about helping with their Amazon store, and I just
Ooh,
say,
okay.
no, we
So
we
what
don't
do
do
it-
that. We've got some people that
Yeah.
can, but that's not what we
What do
do.
they need help with on an Amazon store? It's supposed to be
Oh, there's all
self-sufficient, right?
kinds of there's all kinds of keyword, and
Oh,
it's very
marketing their
competitive.
Amazon store. Okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all marketing and
Because
technical side
within
of
your
setting it up.
Amazon ecosystem, there are similar people with similar products. So how
Yeah.
would you stand out?
Yeah. And that's fine. And that's great. And I'm sure, but you know what? Here's why we don't do it. Because I don't get excited about it.
Yeah.
It's boring
No,
to
and
me.
it's like me, social media management. Okay, full disclosure, guys, because this is on YouTube and it's considered social media, but I don't actually like social media that much. Nothing against it, but I think you could easily waste a lot of time and money on social media with no result unless you're doing it right. And I, I don't have it in me to charge a retainer for a client where I cannot show good result or where I'm not convinced of the result. So for me, since this is not my bread and butter, this is not where my experience is, that's it. I don't do it. When they ask, I just refer them or
Yeah.
help them find somebody or look with them, to find somebody.
No,
So
I'm the same way. Yeah. We've got a referral network we refer people to, because I don't get excited about it. And if I'm not excited about it, I'm not going to do you a good job.
yeah,
And so, and are there some people that do great with
absolutely. That's it. If they
Yeah.
know what they're doing, they show
Yeah.
the results. That's
And
it.
I'm not
do it.
I'm not
Use
against
them.
it, but it's like investing. If you talk to somebody about investing, if they invest in stocks, they're going to tell you that's the best place to invest.
Everyone is doing Bitcoin right now.
Yeah. If they invest, they're going to tell you that. If they invest in real estate, they're going to tell you that's
the best investment you can ever do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a bias for that. And the same is true for marketing. I have a bias towards creative, targeted marketing because I think it gets a higher return rate. And could I get the same return rate doing social media or
And SEO
and SEO?
paid ads?
Yeah,
you
probably.
can, but the cost is going to be 10 times.
Right. But because the conversion rate is only going to be 1, 2, 3, 7%, maybe 13. Like, we're working with clients where after 6 months of doing these experiments, we're getting a 40%, 60, 80, whatever it is, we're getting these high conversion rates. That's blowing. Here's an example. This isn't from me. This is from somebody that did this, that does this kind of marketing. They have a client that sells solar panels. And I was doing a training with this guy. I was from him. He's a great guy, Justin, real smart guy. And I think he's Think Giphy. I forget his brand, but anyway, he had a client selling solar panels, and they were running radio ads, and he was spending a lot of money on radio ads, and he'd get one lead a month. And so they said, let's just do this whole thing different. So they stripped the radio ad from all the music. They slowed the talking down. It was just him talking, just audio of this business owner talking. The radio station thought it was terrible. And he sent them to, they built a brand new website. It took them about 7 minutes to build the website. It was a blank page with a video of this business owner standing on his roof, holding his phone up with his own solar panels in the background, and a phone number below that. Send us the text message. We'll get a free, we'll schedule a free on-site, estimate, no obligation. Okay. They roll this out. They first month live with this, they were getting 4 leads a week. They went from 1 a month to 4 a week, doing something that everybody else was saying, don't do it. Your ads you speed it up. You got to have music. Well, let me ask you this. When's the last time you listened to the radio? Tell me 3 ads you heard. Probably can't do it. Most people can't, because they all sound the same.
Yeah.
Here's this guy. His ad comes out. It sounds totally different. That's amazing. That's amazing. So I just think, so even if you like radio, if that's your thing, okay. I saw an ad for an orthodontist. They had a mask on, and this was about middle of last summer, maybe towards the end of the summer. And it said, never been a better time to get braces.
Yeah, because you call me exactly. Your mouth is covered already.
That's gold. Yeah, if you've got a teenager who's not wanting to get braces, this is the time. I would have loved to. This is brilliant. And I almost contacted them and said, I just want to know, what's been your response? And this is a billboard. I'm fine with billboards if you do it right. So
let me sum it up. We're not saying don't do online marketing. We're saying the approach that we saw working in the last maybe year or two is a hybrid, a little bit offline, a little bit online. And we've laid out the reasons why the offline part is important. And I totally agree with you. And I always laugh, because when I meet a new prospect and we're discussing things, and I'm terrible in sales. Sometimes I just talk too much. Sometimes I bore the listener. I don't know, but
me too.
But I get excited. I get excited, and I go for the education opportunity rather than the sale itself, because I want to share the knowledge with the people that I'm meeting. And but what normally happens when people ask me about paid ads and SEO and online marketing and stuff, and I say, look, okay, my nickname is the Internet Guy. So I'm supposed to be the one who tells you everything goes online, everything is done with technology, whatever. But 99% of my business comes from referrals from people who I either met in person, physically, or like Zoom, or have been introduced by you, by Josh, by another friend. So I barely get business or inquiries from strangers, like people finding me on Google or whatever. And I do have some keywords that are on the first page of Google. So I've done that part. I've done my homework there, right? But again, like you quoted Josh, the same thing. People do business with someone they know and trust, or someone who knows someone they know and trust. So this is just the truth of the matter. The only difference is for people who are doing massive online campaigns, like things that cost, I don't know, $3,000 a month or whatever, and they soil the pages. Is like if you open your water tap, they're gonna come out of it, from the amount of advertising they do. That's different, But for the average small, medium-sized business, they can't afford that, and then it becomes very competitive, because what you're trying to rank on becomes suddenly, instead of paying, I don't know, $16 per click, it becomes $30 per click. Or instead of paying $3, it becomes $17, and so on. And it just goes up and up and up. And the only winner is Google. So, and we're gonna, in part 2, this is, so guys, part one, we're just discussing business and marketing in general. Part two of this, and it's going to be another episode, a separate, I'll produce it as a separate episode. We're going to be discussing SEO optimization, website speed optimization, user experience, things like that in depth. So we're going to put more, or we're going to put the online part of marketing under the magnifying glass, and give us
because it's still important.
a piece
It's
of our
still
mind.
important. Yeah, it's still important. But don't put all your eggs in that basket.
In one exactly. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
And if you didn't do Bitcoin, I'm not saying, I don't know whether to say do it or never do. I don't know. Like somebody told me about it when it was about $6-7. And I was thinking, like, virtual money? What? Like, I don't know, maybe my age then. Like, I'm a techie, but like not that techie.
I don't get it. I saw the other day somebody paid $500,000 for a virtual house.
Yeah. What?
I don't get it.
Oh, so there's virtual property as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Because one day they'll be able to exchange it. I tell you, I saw somebody bought a piece of digital art for $100,000. I'm just like,
okay. I mean, that's fine. Instead of going to the museum, you look at it on your screen, but like,
yeah, but I mean, anyway, and that's teach their own. That's right. And that's again, that's how some people invest. That's whatever your investment
totally up to
strategy
them.
is.
Yeah.
Mine, I love to invest in businesses. I invest in businesses and entrepreneurs. I love, because I'm one,
Yeah.
So
and I love to invest in knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
absolutely. I love it. It's fun stuff.
Perfect. So Eric, thank you very much for this great insight about hybrid and offline marketing as well as online, and how to marry the two together, if we can say that.
Yeah. We try to always send people to the website, leverage your website. You've got it.
Exactly.
Or you should have it anyways. You really should have your own website. If you don't, it cracks me up when I see somebody, you go to their URL and it redirects to their Facebook page.
Oh God. Yeah. Me too. It pains me.
Yeah. Don't do that.
We are going to actually demystify this whole world in part two.
Love it.
It's coming up on the next episode. All right. So that's the end of our part one, and we're going to start part two shortly.